There is a dark, shallow space directly under the floor you are standing on, your crawl space. And if your house has one, every winter you have probably had the same thought. Cold air is coming up through the floorboards. There are vents around the foundation letting it in, so the fix is obvious. Block them. Seal the crawl space up and keep the cold out. Before you stuff a single one of those vents, stop, because closing a crawl space the way most people do it is how you quietly rot your house from underneath without ever going down there to see it happen. Those vents are not just letting cold in, they are letting moisture out. Moisture that rises constantly from the bare ground under your home. And the day you seal that space without doing it correctly is the day the dampness has nowhere left to go but up, into the wooden beams holding your floor together. There is a right way to close a crawl space and a deeply wrong one, and almost everybody does the wrong one. Let me show you the difference before you make the same mistake. Start with what this space actually is, because most people have one and have never once climbed into it. A crawl space is the gap between the ground and the underside of a house that sits up on a foundation rather than on a flat concrete slab. It is usually just a few feet tall, often with a dirt or gravel floor, and running along its outer walls, you will find a series of vents, openings in the foundation spaced every few feet. For 100 years, those vents were the entire strategy for keeping that space alive. The thinking is simple. The earth under your house is never truly dry. Ground gives off water vapor constantly, day and night, and in a closed-up space with a dirt floor, that vapor has nowhere to go. So builders added the vents to let outside air flow through, pick up that rising moisture, and carry it back out before it could settle into anything. The crawl space, in other words, was designed to breathe. The vents are its lungs. But the real reason to leave that space breathing has almost nothing to do with the beams under your floor. It is about the air inside the rooms where you actually live, a whole floor up. Because what happens in your crawl space does not stay in your crawl space. Air moves through a house from the bottom up in what is called the stack effect. Warm air rises and escapes through the upper floors and the roof. And as it leaves, it pulls new air up from the lowest point in the house to replace it. For a home with a crawl space, that lowest point is the crawl space, which means a surprising share of the air you are breathing in your living room, by many estimates close to 40% of it, started its journey in that dark space under your floor and rose up through the gaps around your pipes and wiring. So if the crawl space is dry and clean, the air feeding your home is dry and clean. But if it is damp, if mold is growing on the wooden joist down there, if the dirt is wet and the air is thick, then that is what is quietly rising into the rooms where your family sleeps. The crawl space is not a basement you never finished. It is the underside of your lungs, and your house breathes through it whether you think about it or not. So let me reframe those vents you are about to seal. They are not a design flaw. They are not the reason your floors are cold. Not really, and they are not just an open invitation for the draft. They are a moisture management system that has been quietly protecting the wooden structure of your floor for as long as the house has stood. When you look at a foundation vent in winter and see the enemy, you are looking at the thing that has kept the beams under your feet dry and solid all these years. The cold floor is a comfort problem with its own separate fixes. The vent is solving a much more serious problem you cannot see. Now here's the honest part, because I am not telling you a crawl space must stay open forever. You actually can close one, and done correctly, it is one of the best upgrades you can make to a house. It is called encapsulation, sealing the space completely, lining the ground and walls with a heavy vapor barrier, and adding a dehumidifier or conditioned air so the space stays dry on purpose. That is a real, proven solution. The danger is not closing the crawl space. The danger is the half measure, the thing almost everyone actually does. They block the vents to stop the cold, but they leave the bare dirt exposed, and they add no vapor barrier and no way to control the moisture. Now you have taken a damp space that was at least breathing, and you have sealed the breath off. trapping all that ground moisture inside with nowhere to escape. That is the worst of every world. The wood stays wet, mold takes hold on the joists, the floor above begins to sag, pests move into the warm dark, and the damp air rises into your house. Sealing a crawl space halfway does not protect it, it suffocates it. And this is the idea I most want you to hold on to. Your crawl space is an early warning system for the entire house, and it sits in the one place you never look. That musty smell that drifts through the house on humid days, the rooms that feel damp no matter what the thermostat says, a patch of floor that has started to feel soft or spongy underfoot, allergies that flare worse indoors than out. People chase all of these around their living rooms for years, and the source is very often directly below them, in a crawl space that is wet and was never meant to be. The space under your floor is the visible end of your home's hidden moisture system, the same water story playing out one level down. So here is what you actually do, and notice that sealing the vents is nowhere near the first step. Before anything, go look or send someone who can. Get into that crawl space with a flashlight and check a few things. Is there bare dirt, or is the ground covered with a plastic vapor barrier? Bare dirt means moisture is pouring in unchecked. Is there standing water, a musty smell, or dark mold spreading across the wooden joists? Is the insulation sagging or falling down, soaked with damp? Those are your real status report. Then fix the water from outside first, because it is almost always the cause. Clean the gutters, extend the downspouts well away from the house, and grade the soil so it slopes away from the foundation. Only then do you choose a real path, and there are only two good ones. Keep the space properly vented and get it dry, or encapsulate it correctly with a full vapor barrier and humidity control. What you never do is the third thing, blocking the vents and walking away. For encapsulation, or for any sign of rot, mold, or pests, bring in a professional, because by then you are protecting the structure of the house, not just the temperature of a floor. The crawl space under your house is not a dead, wasted gap to be sealed up and forgotten. It is the breathing underside of your home, quietly managing the moisture that would otherwise rot the floor right out from under you. It does not deserve a vent stuffed with foam on the first cold night of the year. It deserves to be understood. So the next time the floor feels cold and your hand drifts toward those vents, stop. Go look underneath first. The answer to a cold floor is almost never to take away the one thing keeping the space under it alive. Have you ever crawled under your own house and found something you did not expect down there, good or bad? Tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one. Every floor, wall, and ceiling in your house is hiding a story exactly like this one. And on this channel, we go looking for them one at a time. So if you want to keep seeing the place you live a little differently, subscribe and I will meet you under the next one. I will see you there.